Update. Look at this LT1. Ain't that a beaut? This is in the black Camaro. I just wanted to let everybody know what was going on. We are switching over to this new Edelbrock Victor E EFI manifold. And we also have 102 millimeters throttle body that'll be sitting on it. We don't have the elbow yet, and we are getting ready to start doing the work to get the bolt holes lined up. This is a standard small block Chevy intake, and we're trying to bolt it on the LT1 heads. We will do a video showing how we're going to do it, what it takes to do it. But it's kind of outdated, isn't it? Because this is an LT1 and nobody is using an LT1 anymore. So I don't know. It might be the most useless video on the internet, maybe. But it is an OPTISPARK car. Look at that. Look at that jewel. You can kind of see how we move this alternator down here. We're going to do away with the power steering and just run an alternator. We're trying to shed. The goal is to shed 200 pounds off the front of this car. I'll kind of go through how we plan to do that. Tubular, K-member, and A-arms on this car. That's the goal, right? We'll be getting a new transmission, FTI transmission, I think. Turbo 400. We're going to stick with Turbo 400. And I think Evan's going to get one with a trans brake, but I kind of would like for him to not use a trans brake just because it seems like, you know, it puts such a shock load on the car that it just breaks transmissions, breaks parts. So he's going to keep doing foot brake, but at least he has the option to do, you know, use a trans brake. This is the car as it sits right now. We had another K-member laying around. We rolled underneath of it. Hooked the steering back up. This car is going tomorrow morning to a guy in Bedford, Indiana, to extend the roll cage. Put the bars in the all the way up front through the firewall, and then up through the strut tower and to the frame rail. And we're going to try to cut as much material off the front of the car as we can. And we will show that as soon as we get it back. I don't know how long that's going to take. That guy does pretty quick work, and he does good work, so we'll see how that goes. This is the engine out of Bill Gates. And for those of you who remember Bill Gates, is an 86 Pontiac Grand Prix that Evan picked it up real cheap. I raced it last year. We did an LS swap and put a turbo on it, and nitrous and meth, and 4L80 transmission and 373 gears, and we did all that in like 2 months time, and with a little time we were spending here and there on it. Has two pistons that reached nuclear levels. Hopefully all this sheet metal will be gone, but we're still going to use the factory front fenders. I think we're going to do a 6-inch cowl hood on this car, but let's go out and look at gates. Plates are still good on this car. I just canceled the insurance on it because what was the point, right? It's just going to sit here all winter. So still has the hole in the hood. We're not going to put a different hood on it. Actually, our plan is to just put license plates over the hood of the car, over the hole, and what a jewel. So the engine for Gates, that's going to be a tricky one. I'm still looking for pistons, and I'm trying to find a cheap set of used pistons to put in, and depending on the pistons I use is depending on the bore size we're going to use on this block. My brother Alex says he will sonic test the block, and we're going to do a video on sonic testing later on. We want to take the 5.3 4/8 block, which is one of these just truck blocks that are laying around everywhere, and we want to bore one out to 4 inches. Now, if you get on the internet and start asking people, can you bore one out to 4 inches, everybody's going to say no. We want to sonic test it if we think that we can get by with it, and when I think we can, we're going to bore one out to 4 inches and then do a half fill on the block. So that could end up possibly being a 402 cubic inch engine. Now there again, it depends on the pistons I get. If I end up with a 3903 piston, which is a 5 over LS1 piston, I have a crank and rods here to build a 383. Still going to sonic test it. We'll still do a video on that. But we might end up with something that's decent. So I'm shooting for 500 horsepower naturally aspirated. It can be done very easily, I have no doubt. One of the other things I did last night was port a cylinder head, and I'm having Alex flow it for me. And he wants to put a set of heads on his truck, which is a 4.8, and hopefully we'll be able to port out a couple sets of heads, and we'll show what I did there. If it works out okay, I'll show people what I did, what tools I used, and the flow rates. So we'll get back to that later on. But for right now, this car is going to be totally just gutted. Not the interior. The interior is going to be factory interior. It's still going to be a street car, but as far as the front end of this thing, we're going to try to take as much weight out of it as we can. Won't have power steering, but it still will have, as far as I know, it's still going to have a radio in it. Still going to have carpet. Still going to, it's going to have, it won't have AC, obviously. But we'll still be able to drive it around town. Shouldn't be a problem. So anyways, that's the update for right now. Look at that mess. Yeah, this car is just parts just laying around everywhere. So we're getting there. I'll let you know what we do.